Hello, this recording goes over how to do exercise 6-8, the multiple step income statement. And what you're going to be asked to do is you're asked to create a multiple step income statement for the year using the following accounts. And this assignment's actually trying to trick you. There's more accounts listed than actually go on the income statement. So just to remind you from previous chapters, we started looking at the income statement in chapter 1. We only use the following accounts for an income statement. You use revenue and accounts with the word expenses in it. And that's from chapter 1. But when we look at the example, there's an example on page 256. There's an example of a multi-step income statement that you can follow, and you'll see that there's more accounts listed. So there's revenue, less sales, and sales returns and allowances. Basically, you sold a product to your customer and they don't like it, they're returning it, so you have to deduct that from our revenue. You also have to deduct cost of merchandise sold or cost of goods sold, and this represents anything that you paid for the product. So if we think about a retailer, they purchase the product from another company and then resell it. So this represents the cost that it costs them. And then finally, expenses. So if it's not a revenue account, if it's not the sales or sales returns allowance account, or not cost of merchandise sold or expenses, it does not go on this statement. So they give us accounts such as administrative expenses. Well, administrative expenses has the word expense in it, so therefore I know it's an expense. Building, on the other hand, does not have the word expense in it, and it does not say sales, sales returns allowance, or cost of merchandise sold. So I can tell that the building account does not go on my income statement. You can also use a couple other resources. If I go back to page 256, I can follow the multi-step income statement shown here, and it'll give you examples of accounts. And again, we don't see building on this statement if you go through it, but if I look at the other statements, there's a couple examples in here somewhere. I just saw them. Over here on page 259, if I look, I may be able to find the accounts listed on my balance sheet. So they're giving you too many accounts. I can also go to the very last page in my textbook. This is the hardback portion of your textbook. And I can find the accounts. I can just look for them. Like here's the word building, and it says it's a balance sheet account. Cash is also a balance sheet account. So I can use the back of the textbook to look for specific accounts to see what statement they go on. The other account was owner's capital. So I can look for owner's capital. Let's see if we can find the owner's capital account on here. I don't see that one on here, but if you look through them, you may be able to find the account title. Oh, right here. It's right under building. So there it says capital, and it says that statement that capital goes on the owner's equity statement and the balance sheet. So we can look at them and kind of find out what goes where. So you have a couple options when you're doing exercise 6-8. You can look at the classification accounts, and you can look at exhibit 1 on page 256, and those are where you can find your accounts. And you're basically just going to follow their example. Remember, if it's not a revenue account, if it's not the sales returns or allowance account, or cost of merchandise sold, and if it doesn't have the word expense in the title, it does not go on this statement.